everyone. Hello. I'm Daniela Costa. I'm the live events coordinator of the American Translators Association, of the AudioVisual division of the American Translators Association. Well, this is a series of Instagram lives we do every month, every other month. And this time we are going to launch like a new series of lives with associations, because we are really interested in knowing how they advocate for our rights as audiovisual translators, what they do about our profession. I mean, how they advocate for our profession in general. Okay, I think this is really interesting for us working in the audiovisual field, and we'll see their views on different topics. And the first one is SUBTLE. It's a Subtitlers Association from the UK. Not only subtitlers, but also everyone involved in the audiovisual translation field. So we'll interview Max Deryagin. He is the chair. I hope I pronounced his surname well. Sorry, Max, if I didn't. He's the chairperson of this association, and we'll have an interesting chat with him about different topics.
Hi, Max.
Can you hear me?
You?
Hello, Daniela. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
Oh.
Hi. Okay, so here we are. Thank you once again for being here. It's a great pleasure to have you and to have a chat with you. Well, first of all, maybe you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit what you do so we know you better.
Oh, sure. So I am Max Deryagin, and I do activism, of course, in addition to being a professional subtitler. That's what I specialize in. And as an activist, I chair the British Subtitlers Association. And as of recently, I'm vice president of the European Federation of National Associations of Media Translators, which is a big federation that has other associations as members, rather than just translators. And also I co-organize the languages and the media conference and do a bunch of other things, but generally a translator and activist.
Wow, that's awesome. And which are your language pairs?
English to Russian is the only one. A bit of an unfortunate language pair for today. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I only have one language pair, which is English into Spanish. So I understand. Tell us a little bit about SUBTLE, how it was created, what you do, what's your main goal?
Oh, well, it was created in 2005 by people who, it's a funny story. So there was this company very long ago, and they decided to slash the rates of all their translators by 25%. And by mistake, the project manager that did that, not BCC'd everyone, but CC'd, so that everyone saw each other's emails. And they were appalled, and they decided to write to each other and do something about that. Like, hell, what are we gonna do? And several people particularly decided to actually organize and create something. At first, it was just a chat group, and then it kind of snowballed into a whole association. That was a while ago, and many people have changed in the committee, but today, we are as big as ever, and I care. As far as what we do, well, the same thing that the other similar associations in other countries do, which is try to help make our profession sustainable and respected and fulfilling, which unfortunately for many translators, it kind of isn't. But in more practical terms, that means just advocating and campaigning for better working conditions, better rates, more visibility to people through going to different events like conferences, like expos like the IBC Expo in Amsterdam, talking to politicians, going to universities and speaking to students to make sure they understand how the industry actually works, not on paper, but in practical terms, all those kinds of things. But I think one of the most important things is just organize people, make sure they're not isolated, because that's very useful for the bad apples in our industry, where people are kept in the dark. When they aren't, when they're together and share knowledge, they become stronger. And that's one of the important things. So within SUBTLE, we actually do this activism in two major ways. One is ourselves internally, and the other is as part of AVTE, AudioVisual Translators Europe. And I have to do both, kind of.
Wow, that's wonderful, really.
To say a little bit, yeah, thank you, but just a couple of exciting things I'd like to share about SUBTLE is, one is we are working, and this is probably not very exciting. It's exciting for me that we are working on our own Wikipedia article. That's we already drafted it, and we're going to submit it for the Wikipedia editors to approve, and hopefully that will help a little bit with visibility. And another project we have started working on is our database of audiovisual translations. I mean, the French Association already has it. It's called AVTE. The Spanish ATRAIA also has it. And so we'll have this page on our new website where you will be able to see who translated what, for what platform, in what year, what their role was. Maybe it was translation or proofreader or QC or audio describer. And it can be a film, a show, a documentary, maybe even a video game, or just a YouTube video. And then you'll be able to show to your client, hey, here's my body of work. Very useful, very good for visibility.
Wow. Yeah, I think visibility is really important. And what you said about being together, because when we join forces, it's much better. I started working in this field in early 2000s. So it was a different world. And we weren't even allowed to talk to each other with colleagues. We didn't know who they were. We didn't know them by their names. Just we met them by chance. Some of us were friends before started working for several companies. Others we met along the way. But it's really important for us to raise our voices and to show, okay, we are an important part of this industry. We deserve respect, and we should fight for better rates, obviously, always. Because what you said about this slashing the rates, it's happened to me in the past, and it's hard to negotiate when you're alone. And I mean, you have your work as a testimony of your quality, but it's difficult. I know it's difficult because on the other end you have this mega huge companies, and it's hard. But anyway, and I love the word activism. It's wonderful. I never thought about activism regarding subtitles or translation in general, but I think it's great, really, really great. Yeah. and what do you think about this? In the last couple of weeks or months, I think we read about this shortage of audiovisual translators. Some company complaining about this shortage, about quality, and why they used, it was a way of justifying why they used machine translation in subtitles, which is crazy, and why they slashed the rates because of this. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't buy it. Maybe for the language pairs that are less common, or for languages in countries where the traditional mode of translation is different, maybe like it's a dubbing country historically and you're looking for subtitles. Or it's a country where there are not enough AVT courses, or none at all, because in most countries there are no courses. Okay, sure. Other than that, in Europe, European languages, Americas, that's just BS. I think that it's not that there are not enough translators, it's that there are not enough translators willing to work for peanuts like they want you to. Of course, then there are not enough translators. But that's the thing, that people who have spent years honing their skills, getting the theory, the practice, the technical know-how of to use the subtitling software, dubbing, and audio description, they are not going to work for what essentially totals to below a minimum salary in your country. That's our point within AVTE, and I agree completely that no. But when it comes to big companies, they usually use this term talent crunch in regard to big streaming companies willing to expand to a new territory. And then there is this massive surge of requests in those particular languages. And so they scramble really quick to find the people, and they don't have enough. And well, okay, but you know, pay more, you will find them. So how do they deal with this? Two ways. One is they have now this fad, it's creating their own academies. That, oh, there's a digital academy and this academy and that. So they don't want to wait until universities properly train people. They want to train them themselves quick, and you know, in a quick and dirty way, and also so that they already are fine with the rates and working conditions of that company, and they're like, they will offer them jobs. A bit underhanded, in my opinion. Of course, you can make it better or worse, but and the other way that they do it, as you mentioned, through transitioning to machine translation and moving to this new paradigm of post-editing. And of course, we are very much against that. I am against post-editing, and so much so that I was motivated to help write the so-called machine translation manifesto. You can Google it easily, machine translation manifesto, and it kind of outlines my vision and that of two of my colleagues, co-authors, of the dangers of MT in audiovisual translation, and also how we see it moving forward in an ethical way. It's a different paradigm that we call augmented translation, where you're not forced to edit the machine translation raw output, but rather you just get to optionally use it or not use it whenever you want. I mean, we like to, you know, scold MT, but sometimes it's good. For instance, I'm right now in Turkey, and it's awesome. I can talk to people who don't understand English or Russian. To Turkish people, I open my Google Translate, they open their Google Translate, and we can communicate and understand each other. Is that translation good? It's terrible. No. But it's helpful. It is so-called fit for purpose. And MT is not fit for purpose in most cases in AVTE. Is it going to translate comedy so that it's funny? Absolutely not. Is it going to translate some cinematic author cinema to preserve the symbolism? Absolutely not. It doesn't even understand simple things like the context or the gender of the person or how many people are speaking, the formality levels, the register and style. No. But for simpler things like soap operas in the future, maybe for more common language pairs, it's going to be useful. So never say never is my opinion.
Yeah. Yes, the other day I was at a meeting in one of the companies that I collaborate with, and I was so glad because they said, we won't force you to use machine translation. We provide this as a tool. If you want to use it, you use it, but it's not mandatory. So it sets their position on the matter. And I was so glad, I myself and everyone attending the meeting were so glad because, I mean, it's crazy when you are asked to work on something already translated by a machine. I only did it as a test. I mean, they were testing the system or something, and they asked me to review a translation and to make comments and so and so. But if you have to do it for your everyday work, it affects your creativity, and it's crazy to work like that. It takes you ages to complete a translation, and I mean, there's no point in working like that, and for half the rate of regular translation. So it's crazy. Yes, I agree with you, definitely. And speaking about activism and, well, everything you do at your association and everything you do yourself, what do you think about collective bargaining? Do you think it's possible or not at this point?
It depends on where you're from. I guess in Europe there is now.
Latin America.
Yeah. I don't know about.
I mean, Latin America. In Latin America, it's impossible. Yeah.
I guess in North America as well. But in Europe, it is under consideration, the so-called collective bargaining for the self-employed. It was actually supposed to be decided last year, but not, it's the EU is kind of bureaucratic and slow. But if it does come to pass, we will have a much better position to tell big companies what they should pay. I don't know about Asia, I don't know about Americas. In Europe, yeah, it's possible, and probably, hopefully, if we can help it, will come to pass.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Yes, I think the problem with Latin America is that we all speak the same language except for Brazil, of course. But there are so many different realities in each country, and it's difficult for us to reach an agreement and to see, okay, we will charge this rate, and it also depends on how many years of experience you have, I think, and I don't know, many other factors. So I find it difficult. But in Europe, since you have the European Union and you have the experience for that, I think it would be great to negotiate together. I think you become stronger in that way. Definitely.
I think if it does come to pass, and we just set precedent in Europe, maybe in other parts of the world, it would be easier to just point and say, hey, they did this, let's try to figure something out.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, that would be great. So let's hope it passes, and let's see what the future brings us. And we always complain about rates, of course, because they are way down in many cases. But something I also find that I don't like it very much is the invisibility of audiovisual translators. I don't know if this happens in Europe or if this happens to you in your language pairs, but sometimes we are not even credited. Or it happens with a specific company where you translate, but the creative supervisor is credited and the translator isn't. So I think that's kind of unfair. Is there any way to change that, or I don't know?
Oh, no.
What do you think?
That's we have a whole authors' rights working group within AVTE, and we are trying actively to spread the word that, hey, this is important. Not only that it's important, it's an inalienable right in kind of most of the world, thanks to the Berne Convention. And so we talk to politicians about this in different countries, and it's kind of difficult because different countries have different legislations. Like in Croatia, they don't consider translators to be authors at all. That's not it. Whereas in Spain they do, and there it's easier. And we talk to LSPs to make sure they know what's up, and content creators as well, and practitioners, so that they can challenge. They're more informed. They can challenge their translation companies, and if they're asked to sign an NDA or a contract with some item that's kind of not legal, let's say, because sometimes American contracts are literally not legal in part in Europe. If you know that, you can challenge your company and then say, hey, I'm not going to sign this. You have to remove this or change this. And I have done this in the past and it works. Maybe because I'm Max, or maybe because it kind of works. But I would like to highlight one thing here is that you say that crediting, you link crediting and visibility, but is that fair? I mean, of course it's great, and of course we should fight for it, but do viewers actually see your credited then? No. 1% maybe of them. On Netflix, there's this button, skip to next episode. Almost all people click it. You have your credit there or not, doesn't matter for them. It's not about you either. All the people who work on the film, they get skipped. So how much visibility does that give you? Not much. I think the real visibility for us and for our profession lies elsewhere. And that is making news, making headlines, like it happened with the 1-inch tall barrier, Parasite, like it happened with the Squid Games problems when the Spanish translation was actually caption translated. And I was interviewed for The Guardian, and that took off. Or just recently, Stranger Things 4, the captions went super viral. Like on Reddit, there were several threads. One of them had more than 60,000 likes, which means millions of views. And there were people there, and I read those threads partially. They asked, who were the translators or captioners? Some of those people already knew the names from the Netflix.com article about them, or the Guardian article about them. And some of them even suggested that those people should have get some awards, like Emmy or Oscars or something, for their great subtitles. This is where real visibility is, and that makes us more visible to the public. And when the pressure is both from translators and the public, I think the companies will have no choice but just change this whole thing and start crediting everyone. I know for a fact, maybe I'm not supposed to say this, but there are some conversations, real serious conversations, about starting to crediting SDH authors, not only translators. And I personally hope that QCers will be credited as well, like it is happening already in literature.
Yeah, like in video games, when they are credited, because it's not always the case, you have the translator, the adapter, the QC team. I mean, everyone is there. But in subtitling, sometimes you are not even there. And it's part of, when I say visibility, you're right. I mean, this huge news about, I mean, Parasite, Stranger Things, Squid Game, they made us known to the public. I mean, they made our profession known to the public, because nobody thinks about who makes the subtitles or how subtitles are created, or the work involved behind subtitle creation. But sometimes we are so bound by confidentiality agreements that we cannot even mention. I mean, I'm not saying when you are working on confidential content, of course, you are not stupid, just as to say to the world, okay, I'm working on this. But what happens when you want to showcase your work? Because, I don't know, you want to get to more potential clients, and you want to show the world what you did. You can't if you are not in the credits. That's what I'm saying. It would be great for everyone to be on the credits.
It's easier in Europe to campaign for that and demand that, because we have more legislation historically. But in Americas, oof, good luck, and something has to change.
Yeah. I started I mean, I'm not famous or anything, but to get more like conversations with other colleagues. As soon as I was credited on Netflix, but that was like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Before that, I said, okay, yes, I work as a subtitler, but I couldn't discuss my work, or say, maybe if it was an old project, I said, okay, I translated this such and such movie or series or whatever. But I think crediting is vital for us. I mean, it's like, I mean, in any field of translation, also in literary translation as well. So it would be great if we could all be. I mean, if everyone involved in the process could be credited and could be given credit for what we do, that would be even better. I mean, and if our work were recognized in a proper way, yeah, definitely. And do you think localization agencies play like a major role in working conditions, in improving working conditions, or are the studios who are the ones who are like affecting working conditions in a way? What do you think?
It's a difficult question. Of course, the agencies have a say in what they do, but the larger the agency, the more difficult for it is to change things, that especially if it has been around for like decades, and they tend to be behemoth, and you know, if you want to change something fast, you're probably not going to be able to do that, even if you mean well. So generally, it's better to design correctly from the get-go and make sure that you have very nice competent project managers, that your rates are good, sustainable rates, that the working conditions you offer are nice. But there are also bad apples, and if the content creators decide to pay more, what will stop those people from just pocketing the extra and saying, "Oh, thank you. We're not gonna give more to our translators. We're gonna spend that on our R&D to make sure the machine translation is more developed," or whatever. But anyway, we have to talk to those people, both bad apples and good apples, and we need to build bridges, which we do actively within AVTE. But as far as companies like, streaming giants, for instance, do they know that the rates could be better? Of course, we tell them that all the time. We ask them to improve the rates. And for instance, Netflix has improved them a couple of times, a little for a couple of languages, but even they are very hesitant. And if Netflix is hesitant, what about Amazon? What about Disney? Are they going to increase the rates? Hell no. So it's more complicated than that. They care most, for them it's just an afterthought. If that, it's just make translations for us as fast as possible, as cheap as possible. That's it. So we need to overcome some massive hurdles and spread awareness with even more awareness, probably not the right word, with more enthusiasm, to make sure everyone understands. That's why I started collaborating with the MESA people, which is the Media Entertainment something Alliance. And those people are more like about the industry. Because, when you talk to practitioners and to academics, at some point it becomes like preaching to the core, and you want to make sure you're heard within the industry. So I've participated in their conference, and yeah, I've received some nice feedback that people told me, "Hey, I actually didn't know that." Because we like thinking that those people in these big corporations are evil, but sometimes they just don't know, literally. Because by the time some information comes from the translator and to the C-suite person, it goes through several managers, it gets watered down, it changes. And then even that, if that person, that vice president wants actually means, they might not be able to do that because the information is bad. So yeah.
Yes. Yes, because it was cutting for. The connection was lost for a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. No, don't worry.
I can repeat it.
You're back.
Okay. Sure.
Yes. No, it's okay. It's okay. We heard it.
All right.
Yeah. Yes. Tell me. It's okay.
No, everyone has a role. The agencies have a role. The streaming services and other big clients have a role. The practitioners, the activists. We just need to, and of course, the researchers and academics. So we need to build bridges and talk more, all of us.
Yes, absolutely. Because sometimes they are depicted or shown as if they're the devil or evil. Capitalistic companies who want to make money out of our blood, and so it's not like that. They are a major part of the industry. Most of us work for big companies, LSPs. And we are able to take part in great projects because of that. But we should be more involved in the process. Translation is left for the very last minute always, and that's not fair. If we could be, this is something we discussed many lives we did with some project managers, also with Pablo Romero Fresco from Spain, and we were talking about that. If we were part of the creative process, not when they are reviewing the script and so on. So when the script is finished, and if we could have, like, I don't say direct contact with the director or the producer, but maybe be there. While the movie is being finished, or movie or the series or whatever, it would be better for our work. Sometimes we are asked to translate like a whole season in 1 week, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You have to be involved in the process and to know what it's about, and the quality will be much better. It's not bad now, but I think it will be much better.
Yeah, I think we're slowly moving there. I have seen some positive changes within these several years, and people are invited to work more closely with the production team more often. So hopefully that will become a trend in the future.
Yeah, it will be great. Absolutely. And what I read on the SUBTLE webpage, something I liked very much, if you, I mean, everyone listening haven't read it, do it, because these are the tips for audiovisual translators. If you are new in the industry, what you should do, I think I wanted to say to you personally that it was awesome, because it was so accurate, definitely.
Thank you. We always want to write more tips, particularly technical ones, but too few hands on deck. We'll get there. And yeah, we want to add so much to our website. I would like to do a quick plug. Actually, we are called the British Subtitlers Association, but the funny thing is, we actually accept people from all over the world, not just Britain. And that's a misconception. Yeah. We have people from Malaysia, we have people from China, and so on. And so anyone can join. And another thing, we're not a Subtitlers Association either. We accept all kinds of audiovisual. It's audio subscribers. Yeah. No, yeah. But you're right. It's just a misnomer for us. We call ourselves that, but it's just not the case.
Yeah. I may be biased because I'm a subtitler, so I always say subtitling. It's not that I forget about other stakeholders, and of course they have all my respect, but I always refer to subtitling, and you are right. Yes, I read you have audio describers, closed captioners, people who translate that in scripts. Yeah, definitely. Audiovisual translation in general, which is growing and growing. Yes. So if anyone wants to ask a question, maybe if you agree with this, you can do it with the, I mean, we have like a question mark here, or I know, because some people made comments, but I'm trying to read them from here. Let me check, because, but it's not. Something about Netflix when we were talking about the buzz in social media. Yeah, and the conversations in Twitter. Yeah, the Netflix debate. I think it was about the Squid Game and everything that happened. Yeah, we remember. Well,
that was a lot.
No questions. Okay. Well, Max, I think we covered everything. So thank you so much for your time. I know it's really late where you are at now, and you waited for us. So thank you so much. I hope we can chat together in the future and share your views about anything that happens in the industry. So
feel free
thank you.
To invite me. You're welcome, and thanks to everyone for joining us today. It was fun. I like giving interviews.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a nice
day. See you next time.
And see you. Bye-bye.
Great. Bye-bye. Well, thank you for being there. This was a very nice chat with Max. We learned a little bit about what is going on in the industry and what everyone's doing to advocate for our rights. So let's close with this. We have to stick together, yes, and to fight for better working conditions. Definitely, that's something we do at the audiovisual division, of course, and we try to give visibility to these new initiatives apart from, of course, training and anything that is of interest for all of us working in this field. So thank you for being there. See you next time with a new Instagram Live. Stay tuned. Thank you. Bye-bye.